Hey, this is Stefan.
This is Ada, and welcome to Living Simply in Mexico, although we're obviously not in Mexico right now, but hopefully going to be on our way
Tomorrow. Yeah.
As of this video.
Exactly. And this is going to be a quick turn video because I know that there is a category for Hurricane Roslyn that is coming into Puerto Vallarta this evening. And Ada's doing a retreat, and we're here in her Pilates clinic right now, just getting prepped for that. So I wanted to get some just general information out, sort of point in time video about what we know of it. And then also too, later on in the video, talk about just general natural disasters. We had an earthquake recently, natural disasters in Puerto Vallarta, and what you should know as a homeowner or a person that's looking to purchase property there. So a lot going on in this one.
I just want to mention one quick thing. You guys might have noticed that the monetization is on this video. There's a reason for that. Everything's going to be going to charity. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's a whole nother video, and definitely stay tuned on what we're doing there. This video and all videos going forward will go to charities or volunteer organizations.
On the topic of kind of these natural disasters, whether we're talking weather events, geological events, we are not experts, but we're certainly, we're going to be giving kind of our perspective as homeowners, what we've observed and in our research.
So we have some ideas on what we think will happen, and this is a point in time video. We could be completely proven wrong going forward, so don't take this in any way, but this is just our commentary. And if you are a person that is an expert in either hurricanes, we'll talk about today, and then earthquakes later on, we'd love to get a video response from you. We'll put that link in the video if we do hear from you.
We're going to talk a little bit about Puerto Vallarta, and it's got some unique geography to it, which does protect it somewhat from the effects of hurricanes, because they're real and they have caused some severe damage in the past. The geography is such that Puerto Vallarta is lying in relationship to the Sierra Madre Mountains. A lot of times these hurricanes end up kind of bearing off back out to sea. They lose power, and they end up north of us.
So we had the Hurricane Roslyn that was earlier this year. That was also, I believe, was at least Category 3, maybe
it's
Category 4.
It's almost doing exactly what Roslyn is doing right now.
I think it was just a little further out. Yeah. So what was interesting is when it comes up to the Sierra Madre Mountains, as Ada mentioned, it kind of pushes off and it kind of hurts the hurricane. And so you'll see that it may go from a Category 4 to a Category 3 before it goes inland, because it takes off some of that power. And so that was Roslyn that we see now, and that's good news for us, because you'll notice in all the models that inside where Puerto Vallarta is protected, and there's very little wind that comes in, versus if you're going out further in the water, it's pretty rough. And so again, Roslyn was like that, and Roslyn is like that. Now there are two other hurricanes to talk about that really make us nervous, and the one hurricane was last year. That was Nora, and that was different because Nora came in and actually came through the mountains versus being out on the ocean.
It hit south of us, and then it slowed down and just hung out.
It just
poured,
dumped rain. So Nora, all the water, we had water, but all the water came down in the mountains, and so we have some video of it here. We actually went pretty close to the eye of the storm, but there really wasn't much there from a wind perspective. And actually that evening, earlier in the evening, wasn't bad, but once that water hit the mountains and went down the mountains, that's when we had the devastating flooding from Hurricane Nora back in 2021. The other thing we're concerned about is a Hurricane Kenna-like environment.
That was in 2002.
2002, that was a long time ago. That was very, very bad damage. In fact, we'll put a link to at least one of the videos of what happened to Kenna. And what happened there is that started way out further in the ocean, and it came more direct in to Puerto Vallarta. And the wind wasn't so bad, but it was the surge of water that really, really devastated things. Like the Malecon was basically gone. First floor of a lot of the stores were gone. That's the one we actually worry the most about.
Right. Take home message here is, so far in the hurricanes that we have either experienced or read about in the past, it's not the wind that seems to get it. It's the low-lying areas experience some form of flooding or surges from the ocean.
Yeah.
So from the ocean or from the river. So that is that's a consideration when you're looking in terms of water view or this or that. I mean, we're lucky. Both of our houses are up on hills, so we are out of danger. Hopefully, with that.
Right.
That being said, you always have a landslide that you could that could be around.
Yeah, so we're very cautious. Obviously, this is a big category for a hurricane, but that's one thing to consider is if you do looking at a house, that if you're on the water or if you're next to a river, that could be an issue in these types of hurricane environments. So that's just a point on hurricanes. So knock on wood here, knock on wood. I think we're going to be okay tomorrow. I hope you make it in. Let's all hope for the best and hope everybody stays safe.
Well, I want to just mention that who we are worried about are our friends that are just a little bit further north.
Yes.
In Nayarit, right? So basically, going up and you're going north to Sayulita and up to San Blas in that area. They're much more exposed up there, and in fact, this is where Roslyn is currently headed. And so we all know that we've got Sean in Paradise, our friends up there.
Yep, in San Francisco, San Pancho area. Do check out his channel, Sean in Paradise. He may have some really good videos coming out based on his experience.
Right.
We don't know, but
so just kind of something to think about is, those are the things that you want to be considering from a weather standpoint. Otherwise, the weather is great, and you're going to have your regular rains and all of that, and everything is good. The second kind of natural disaster that we're very aware of here in the Bay Area are earthquakes.
Yeah, and we're in Ada's clinic is in the San Francisco Bay Area. In fact, her office complex is on landfill, which basically turns into liquid when you have a earthquake.
Yeah, liquefaction is a real thing, and we saw that actually. So there was the earthquake that hit just very recently.
Yeah.
Most of our houses are pretty much on bedrock that we have in Puerto Vallarta, but the places that experienced damage in Puerto Vallarta were the big buildings that were down in the marina that were also built on landfills. So, that
landfill or soil, the soil that shakes. And so we're not experts in that, but the idea is if you're living on bedrock, that is a very good thing. It's because and you're moving, everything is moving. You're not getting like this sort of wavy type environment. And what you find, and I'll put up a video of our pool. We had just a little bit of our pool look like we had a ghost in there that was swimming around. The water was moving. But I'll put a link down below or up on the video here that basically shows some of those high rises where water was literally flying off the roof pool onto it was just crazy. And of course you saw some of the damage that was there. And we weren't very close to the epicenter. Most of the major earthquake activity comes actually is south of Puerto Vallarta. I'll put up a map here where you see where there's some little dots around Puerto Vallarta, but a lot of it goes south along the coast, and that's where the heaviest earthquakes have occurred in past history. And so usually when Puerto Vallarta gets a shaker, it's coming from a little bit further away, which is helpful. In the past, the church downtown, it had its crown knocked off at one point in time. So, it's not, I don't want to minimize it, but it's not as bad as it typically could be if you're further south in Mexico. Other thing to note about Puerto Vallarta construction is there's a lot of brick. There's a lot of sort of production like cinder block, that sort of stuff.
Things that don't bend.
Yes, exactly. So if you do get a big shaker, and if you're on an area where you can get liquefaction, then that house has a really good chance of falling down. Just because of the construction and where you're at. And so we've always felt very good on bedrock, on solid stone, where everything shakes together. So that's a story there. So another thing to consider when you're buying property is where it's located, and if you need to have insurance that covers things like earthquake damage, because you can get that in certain areas that is most prone to the liquefaction or the shaking. And I think you're getting a lot of beeps on your phone here. So
yeah, so those are from Puerto Vallarta.
We should probably.
I'm gonna turn that off there for a moment. But anyways, and I mean one last thing related to both earthquakes and flooding, tsunami. Okay, now we've been lucky we have not experienced that, but I think there was, I don't know when there was the, there are quakes that happen, in the sea, and that is, once again, low-lying areas, just something to consider. Occasionally they will have drills. The problem with these drills is that you hear this loudspeaker and you cannot understand a word that they're saying. They'll do it in English and in Spanish, and you can't understand.
Just all muffled, right?
Yeah, it's just really muffled. Usually when they do these disaster drills, they actually do give notice to the residents, so we know that there's a drill coming on. So if all of a sudden you hear something, check on some of our Facebook groups and say, and look to see, is this a drill? because actually it may not be.
Yeah. So if you want an excuse, let's say your significant other wants to have beachfront property, you've got several reasons. One is just the surge due to a hurricane, potentially a tsunami. That's another reason. In fact, since the Bay of Banderas is shaped a little bit like a bowl, there could be reason, it could like condense. If you do take a look, we're from California. If you do take a look, the one earthquake in Japan with Fukushima happened, there's some really good videos on there about Santa Cruz and what happened there, because it basically took all that tsunami surge, and even though in the San Francisco Bay Area there wasn't much of a tsunami, if anything, it was like an inch. In Santa Cruz, it all condensed in one spot and just crushed all of the boats in the harbor. So that's something to consider as well. This is a terrible.
I know.
I know,
well,
this is terrible.
You know what?
It's good to know, right?
This is just go in with eyes. Don't put your head in the sand. I mean, we live in the Bay Area. Once again,
San Francisco Bay Area.
we live where,
San Francisco Bay Area and Bay
we live where everything is on fire, and we could potentially get shooken down, and also global warming will probably have us underwater in 30 years. Know what you're getting into. So that you don't end up, having any surprises, and then understanding, because of where you live, your insurance rates for those coverages may be higher and maybe a cost that you had not considered. Right. We are not necessarily in danger of hurricanes where our houses are, but yours may be, and so you may definitely want to make sure you've got your hurricane insurance as well as your other just general disaster.
Yeah, so let's hope as this hurricane comes in that everybody is okay tonight. It's a non-event tomorrow. I do feel fairly confident, again, knock on wood, that there won't be a wind event in Puerto Vallarta proper. I hope that other places that are outside of Puerto Vallarta that are more exposed also do not get impacted, and then we can say this is a nothing burger and move on to margaritas. Oh, the one thing, again, as Ada mentioned, this video and further videos, it's all basically for charity, again, for nonprofits or volunteer organizations. So please do like and subscribe. And if you find something interesting in the ads that come up, do click those, because actually you sitting in watching this video and clicking on some ads that are interest to you actually does good in Puerto Vallarta. And we'll talk about that in a new video.
All right, you guys, take care, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
In Puerto Vallarta, yes.
Puerto Vallarta.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Be safe. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. When any there's event like this, what we do is we go check out the Cuates y Cohetes camera, because that's on typically 24/7. And that allows you to see what the weather is like and what people are doing within Puerto Vallarta if you're not there in person. Last time I checked, and this was about probably a half hour ago, people were sitting down still drinking margaritas and doing their things. So hopefully they can continue to do that.